Hey there, happy Tuesday. Excuse me, happy Thursday. What the heck I was thinking. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to Coffee with Connie. I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in and check out what we have going on. So usually I try to come to you a couple times a week to talk to you about things about real estate, buying a home, selling a home, mortgages, how those things are affected when, how they come into play when you're buying a new home or selling a home. And particularly my role is to talk about, in more detail, is specifically about the title company's role. So I'm Connie Fuksa with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. And our job at a title company is to do a lot of different things. But first I wanted to talk to you about the fact that a lot of people don't understand that the buyer has the right to choose where they're going to go to closing. So as you're doing your contract, your realtor may say to you, and I more than likely will say to you, who do you want to deal with for the closing? We have some people that we work with, but we want to know if you have a specific choice, because you legally have the right to choose if you're the buyer or if you're the seller and you're paying all of the closing costs. The buyer actually has the legal right to choose who's going to do the closing. So there's a couple of different pieces that I want you to think about when you think about a title company, because it's kind of important. The first is, once the contract is signed, we actually start working on everything beforehand to make sure that when your closing time comes and everything's coming together, that it actually happens and happens smoothly for you. So closing isn't just about you sitting at the table and signing your documents and getting everything taken care of for you, to get your keys transferred and to make sure that you own the property. Closing, there's lots of things that go into closing before you actually sit down at the table. So once the contract comes in, we actually order what's called a title search, because we want to search the property ownership to make sure that the property you're purchasing is in fact the property that the seller owns, and all of it is exactly what you expect it to be. That all of the piece that you actually went out and viewed actually is all in the ownership that the seller owns. And so we will actually search the land records in the county to make sure that that information is correct. And even if they do own it, but maybe somebody has a right to travel across the property, maybe somebody has maybe there's a burial site there on a far reach piece of the property, maybe there is some other ownership involved that the seller didn't know about, or maybe didn't explain properly, or maybe they didn't know that they needed to explain properly. Maybe there's a additional owner that isn't around that we need to address. So all of these kinds of things, we want to make sure, but that when you actually come to sit at that table, that you understand closing to be sitting there signing all those documents. Closing happens, a lot of other things go into play with respect to the closing. So we do that part to make sure that all that information is coming together for you. We coordinate everybody, make sure everybody, all the pieces, all the numbers, all of the information all comes together at the same time. All of the people come together at the same time in most cases. And then we actually, as you know it, help you sit down at the table and go through all of the documents and understand all of the information. But then the third piece that we do that most people have no idea about, and probably the most important piece, is we protect your home ownership. So after everyone leaves, we actually take all of the documents and make sure they're recorded in the land records so that your ownership is properly transferred to you, and make sure that all of the money is given out to all of the places that it's expected to go to make sure all the documents get back to the mortgage company so that their loan is taken care of, and that your the money that you borrowed in order to purchase that property is all in the right place. And then we actually write insurance to insure and protect your ownership. So once everyone goes home from the closing table and all of those pieces are put back into the places where they belong, we actually do an insurance policy that you will get that insures the ownership. So if anyone ever comes to you and says, hey, you know, I had a mortgage on this property and it wasn't properly taken care of, maybe the title company that did the closing isn't in business anymore, that insurance policy will protect you. It'll protect you against a lot of different things. As I said, maybe there's a right-of-way or an easement or an ownership right that somebody has the right to go through that piece of property. That's going to be discussed in your title insurance policy. maybe your access to the property that you're purchasing is a private roadway. That's going to be discussed in your insurance policy. So there's a lot of things that are dealt with after closing that your title insurance actually covers, and this is a really important piece. So when you're thinking about who you want to do your closing, it isn't just who can make sure that all the papers come together when you actually sit down at the table. It's that they've done the research and the legwork before you get to the table, and also that they make sure that things are taken care of and wrapped up properly and do the insurance to protect you for the rest of your home ownership. So there's a lot of other things that go into play with a title company that aren't just what happens at the table. And so it's really important for you to do a little research and understand what that title company that you choose brings to the table. Because if it's a company that has a bad track record of taking care of their customers and making sure that claims are not happening, then you are not going to be protected well. Maybe the insurance isn't going to be written properly. Maybe the problems are going to happen even though you have the insurance. Maybe the problem should have been taken care of before you went to closing, and even though you have the insurance doesn't mean you want to have to use it. You don't want to have to deal with the problem. It's just like having a homeowner's insurance policy and someone never checked the breaker panel to make sure that the fuses aren't bad and your house catches on fire. Yeah, you have insurance to reimburse you, but who wants to be displaced and have to make that claim? You'd rather have things work properly. So I really want you to think about, when your realtor says, you need to choose who's going to do that closing, that you actually are making sure that who's doing that closing for you is someone that has a good reputation, does not have claims on their insurance, and they have a good response rate to the things that you need. So hopefully I gave you a little bit of information that helps you understand a little bit more about the role of the title company. I'd love to answer any questions or help you with anything that you may have questions about, or give you some direction. So you can reach out to me either through the Facebook Live or instant message me, or you can email any of us. We have a lot of information about this and lots of other things on home buying, home selling, on our website, www.footetitlegroup.com. And if you're a title company and you're watching this, we also have a LinkedIn group that we'd really like you to join, because we're working together to try to make our industry better by making sure that customers understand the value of what a title company does and why it's so important to understand what we bring to the table and to make sure they're protected. So hope you guys have an awesome Thursday. I got that straight this time. Sorry about that. And I love talking to you. So please reach out and ask any questions that you have. Let me know anything I can help you with, because that really helps me understand what other people may be thinking about, asking about, maybe don't know, so we can talk about it. Have a great day, everybody. I'm Connie Fuksa with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. Thank you.